and welcome back to Pen to Print. This is the competition. If you basically want to make your dreams come true, if you've got a book within you and you want to become a published author, you want free mentoring support, you want to attend free poetry classes, playwriting classes, we've got so much going on here, just go to lbbd.gov.uk/pen to print for more information. But before you do that, I need to introduce you to an amazing lady. She's just hit #1 on the Amazon charts for her brand new book. And I just can't wait for you to hear her story, because it's just incredible. And I think this interview, if you're an aspiring author, it will really give you that motivation just to keep going and to basically take action. So please welcome to Pen to Print, JACLYN Dunne. Woo, woo, woo.
Thank you. What an intro.
Thank you so much for dropping by Pen to Print today. Firstly, tell us more about yourself and this amazing book that you launched recently.
Okay, so a little bit of my background. I am going to take you back to 15 years ago when I was an accountant and I was working in the City of London. I was working very long hours and I also wasn't very well. So I had an autoimmune condition that I was diagnosed with, which got diagnosed because I kept fainting about 3 times a week on the tube.
Oh, God.
And ended up being diagnosed with autoimmune condition, pernicious anemia. They said you just need a B12 injection once a month and you'll be fine. And I thought, okay, that's fine, I'll take that. Carried on, still very tired, still working very long hours in the city, and ended up with my mum being very ill. So my mum was ill for 10 years. She was ill with something called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is a condition that affects the lungs, and it was progressive. So eventually my mum passed away on the 28th of January 2013. Then that was a big enough shock. Even though she'd been ill for 10 years, it was still a big shock for me, because you never actually believe it's going to happen when someone's been ill for 10 years. So that was on the Monday, and then on the following Friday, my dad also passed away as well, which you couldn't really make up.
Yeah.
And he also died. They were both 64 and they died from diet and lifestyle related conditions. So that was the big punch on the nose that I needed to say, JACLYN, sort your life out. You're not well. You're working too many long hours. You've got children you hardly see. And your life doesn't have to be like this. You don't particularly like your job. It's not particularly rewarding. So I decided to make some changes, and I went to study first hypnotherapy, and then I started studying nutrition. So I became a qualified hypnotherapist, nutritionist, and then holistic health coach.
Wow.
In the process of that, I managed to heal my own autoimmune condition, and now I help other people to be much healthier too. So
So obviously when anyone dies, it's such a sad, I think a lot of people I never know what to say and how you react, but I think even in your story, it's like it has had so many positive effects. Like, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing now.
I definitely wouldn't. So the book came about because what I found was I was continuously giving a lot of my clients very similar advice, very basic advice that they were actually surprised to get. And I thought, rather than just sitting here doing one-to-one consultations, saying the same things over and over for quite a lot of people, I could be documenting this in a book so it was accessible to everybody. And that's why the book came about. In the book, I say a little bit about my journey, how I went from sick and tired accountant to a holistic health coach helping other people. And I talk about how I healed my own autoimmune condition too. I dedicate the book to my mum. The book is dedicated for Mum, I had to lose you to find me. And that's just the way it was.
It's such a poignant thing to write as
well.
It
is, but it's, I said to you earlier, it's quite sacrificial in a way, because sometimes the worst possible things that happen to you put you indirectly on the path to the best. And that is absolutely what happened to me. If I didn't go through what I went through with my mum and dad dying in such quick succession, I wouldn't have had the realizations and the wake-up call and the journey that I've now been on, and I wouldn't have been inspired to write my book. So the book is out there now. It's in 2 sections. It's called MindBody Miracle. It's in 2 sections.
I love that name. I love it.
It was called a lot of things before it was called MindBody Miracle. We toyed with lots of titles. One of them was Mind Body Mend, and then I thought,
I thought you said going to say men. I was like, what?
No,
Men got to do
mend, like you're on the mend. And I just thought, that's really weak. It's like, you can mend, but you'll probably break again. So that's too weak. No, we need a miracle here. So MindBody Miracle is what we called it. The miracle that it was going to be has ended up being something completely different, which I'll share with you. But it's in 2 sections. The section on the mind is all things like positive affirmations, meditation, how to let things go, how to raise your vibration to find your tribe, because that is huge. If you're surrounded by the wrong people, radiators you need to be around, not drains. And that can really affect your health. So all of that's in the mind section. Then we've got the body section, which is things like healthy eating, proper preparation. So, don't go food shopping without a shopping list, how to plan a shopping list, how to get good food into your cupboard, how to turn it into a good meal, anti-inflammatory foods, anti-inflammatory diets, how to heal your gut.
This sounds like my kind of book already.
There's so much in
the
there.
mindset, I think, is so important. And I think, we're quite lucky in the sense that we've got videos and YouTubes now that can spread that message. Because before, I never really understood anything about mindset, and even though I've always kind of been a naturally happy, positive person, but I never thought it's much more than that.
So underrated, because we have this huge mind-body connection going on where every single thought will affect your body on a cellular level. So therefore, if you're thinking well, you're going to be well, and if you're thinking bad, that's going to be exacerbating your conditions, and very undervalued. You've got to look at people like Dr. David Hamilton's work, who's written the book How the Mind Can Heal the Body. Incredible book, and he has done masses of research into how the placebo effect works in comparison to drugs. So it's so underutilized, and that's why it had to be working with the mind and working with the body, utilizing the skill sets that I've learned with hypnotherapy and nutrition, putting them into a book to create a miracle. And the miracle is the reader, because you are the miracle. You have all the answers are within. You have everything you need inside. It's just digging deep enough to find them and using them. And that's what this is, a toolkit to help you do that.
I'm so excited. I'm coming up. We are going to talk about Amazon and how you can get your book published on Amazon. We're going to talk more about what your new miracle is. It's such an amazing story. But before we get on to that, I really do want to talk about mindset a bit more. Because obviously with Pen to Print here, we've got so many aspiring authors who have got a book in them. They want to enter this competition and get their book published. But I think sometimes people might start writing and then they are stuck in the negative thinking of who's going to read my book? Why am I doing this? So what would you say to those people that maybe they've even been struggling for the last 10 years and all they want to do is to get published, or more people to find their book on Amazon? What kind of message would you say to them? And
I honestly believe that everyone's got a book inside of them. So I don't think that my story is particularly special. I just think that I have experienced something and then I have delivered it back in a certain way so that my experience will help other people. And everybody can do that. Everybody can share a message. Whether it be fiction or non-fiction, there's something that's within you that you can share that. So ditch the low self-belief for a start. That has to go, because you are actually, what you're doing is you are withholding so much value inside of you and you're not letting it out. And that's such a shame. So there's always going to be somebody interested in what you have to say. And I had that self-doubt too. I was sitting up till 2:30 some mornings, writing my book, thinking, why am I still up? Who's going to read this anyway? now we're a year on. The book was released last month. It went to top 10 on the day of release. It went to number 1 on Amazon week before last in its category. And so how wrong was I? How wrong was I to think who's going to read this book? And now that the book has been out for a month, the messages that I'm getting from some of the readers are incredible. And actually, you only need 1 or 2 messages to think to yourself, I don't care if somebody reads this book and gives me a 0-star rating on Amazon. I couldn't care less, because the messages that I have now have made every single 2:30 in the morning worth it. Yeah. Because it's had an impact to a handful of people, and that's amazing. And one thing you're never ever going to be an ex is author. Once you're an author, you're an author for life, and that book is out there, and it's...
That's such a good way of putting it.
That book is out there, and it can continue to provide a message. So it's not something that you do and is forgotten about. It's always going to be traceable and found. So do it. Get your message out there. Everybody's got a message that needs to be shared. So do it.
Do it now, because look what you can achieve. It's amazing. Again, on that same subject, I think people might be, okay, yes, we're going to do it. I'm going to write my book. But unfortunately, there's always going to be negative people in someone's life. And again, a lot of people that might enter pen to print, they're not obviously authors yet. They might be, we had a teacher on the other day, and everyone else has other full-time jobs. So what if you're currently in a job, you're surrounded by people that are like, hold on, why are you even trying to write a book? I think it's easier said than done when we can be like, do you not just... I always say to people, just ignore them.
It's hard to ignore them, and I'll share a story with you. I was a co-author of a previous book called What's Left to Eat. I was approached by a wonderful, amazing lady called Christine Marmo, who runs a detox and allergy clinic in London, and she'd got together about 20 international nutritionists and said, give me your best recipes for people that have multiple allergies. And this book was put together for all of those people that when they've told they've got multiple allergies, they go, what the hell am I supposed to eat now? What is left to eat? So we put this book together, and I was so delighted. I was very early on into my nutrition career, so I was so delighted to be asked with these incredible people to be submitting a recipe. Very, very proud of it. The day the book got released, we was told to change our Facebook cover photo to the What's Left to Eat band, and we'll... everyone was promoting it on Facebook, and I was like, I'm delighted to be a co-author of What's Left to Eat. And I got so much negativity, I can't even tell you. People were saying to me...
But you're so cute. Why would anyone do that to you?
A co-author? You've just submitted a recipe. You're not exactly a co-author. And that's what I was told to call myself. Yeah. But do you know what I did? I used that to fuel this book, because... it actually got to me. I shouldn't have let it get to me, especially with all the work I've done on mindset. And I just thought, okay, co-author's not good enough. I'll become an author.
I'll show you.
And so I did. And it's so funny, because on my Facebook page, when the book went to number 1 on Amazon, I did all my thank yous. I thanked my book coach. I thanked my husband for helping me with the kids and while I'm writing this book. And I thanked the negative Nancy's, I called them. I said, thank you so much to all the negative Nancy's that called me a co-author on What's Left to Eat, because it was you that fueled me to go on to be an actual author. So thank you so much. So what I would say to anybody who's receiving any negativity, fuel your engine with it. Fuel your engine and say, I'm going to show you. I will show you. Because actually, people that give negativity is because they would quite like to do it themselves and they don't have the balls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I always say, just, you as a person always get better, not bitter. Because I think it's easy to look at someone and think, why are they saying that to me? But do you know what? They're just not in the right frame of mind. You just need to stay on your journey and not...
Actually, everybody's got their own journey. Just stay on your path. Don't try and drag other people onto your path. They don't want to come on your path. They don't want what you're selling.
And that's fine. Just leave them to it.
That's fine. So just wave, look behind and wave every so often.
So I hope you're happy in your life and bless everyone. That's what we need to do.